Great. So can we get started with approval of the minutes? Um, I'll make a motion to approve the minutes. Do we need a second? I always forget. Okay, second.
I'll
Sorry,
second.
Deborah. Um, all in favor? Anyone against? Okay, I think that means it's passed. Yes. Okay. Commission the demographic data collection. So how is that going?
I'll start, and Rachel, feel free to make any corrections. I think overall it was okay. We received responses from 21 folks.
40 total, 21 that said they were commissioners, and then about 20 that were subcommittee members.
Perfect. I will say we weren't quite sure if everybody who submitted as a commissioner was actually a commissioner. So I think in the future, we'll do two separate surveys, one for commission members and one for subcommittee members. So, because we had no way of really checking, it's just some of the numbers seem slightly off. But if we did actually receive 21 commission members, I think that's almost everybody, because I think we're at 22. So that's great. Rachel threw in the chat the link to the tables of responses and did a breakdown by subcommittee. But I think most of those we probably don't. Most of the subcommittees had so few responses that I don't know if there's any real point to looking at just the generic subcommittee data. For example, governance, we had 4 folks who responded and been marked down that they were in governance subcommittee. So at that point, it's a fairly small sample size. So we can probably just focus more on generic subcommittee and generic commission. And I guess the question we had was mostly in how we want to share this information with the commission at next week's meeting. I feel like since we collected it, we should share it. I believe that the way the Secretary of the State's office shares this is by comparing it to Connecticut demographics, like of the state as a whole. So do we want to put that together? We're happy to do so, but is there a different conversation that we want to have around it? Any guidance is much appreciated.
I mean, to me, that's the only way that it kind of makes sense. Yeah, I wouldn't, otherwise it's kind of just numbers. I don't know. What does everyone else think? I know it's a lot of work.
I would go along with that as well.
Yeah, I think if we collected it, we report it, people have concerns, we can address it in the group meeting. Concerns or comments anyway.
Yes.
And so you would put everything together in the sheet that is, we would do commission and subcommittee kind of together, just everyone, since we're not really sure if we have the right information broken down between them.
I think that can be a good place to start, and next year we'll do a better job.
Yeah, and you could call that out, Cindy. I
Yeah.
mean, we learned something, you know, it was an oversight and something we can address moving forward.
Okay.
So we
So
can
keep
do that.
everybody all together. Is that what I'm hearing?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we can do that, put together percentages, put a little caveat on there. And then are we okay with just saying the conversation around this is any questions or comments? Is there anything that we particularly want people to? Do we want to put any kind of framing on this before we share it out, I guess?
I might suggest, Cindy, I don't have this in front of me, sorry, that if there's an opportunity to identify the gaps, who isn't represented, we can begin to explore how do we reach out and how do we sort of close those gaps. Might provide us some additional direction in terms of a subcommittee and with some guidance from the commission.
Okay. Any other thoughts on the presentation of this? The rest of the commission? No. When's our next full commission meeting? I forget.
Wednesday of next week.
Okay, I knew it was coming up soon.
So,
Um,
but it really won't take very long to put this together, so it's fine.
okay. I mean, I think, can you use the information that's in our report? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, good.
I think it's just turning these numbers into percentages for the commission. So that's quick and easy, and then just doing the side-by-side comparison.
Okay.
Just the benefit of using the same categories for both.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Makes it a lot easier.
Okay, good. All right, so anything else on that, or should we move on to the affiliate program? Thank you guys for going through and making all those notes, and the spreadsheet. It made it so much easier. I think it was a lot. I mean, I was excited to see how many people had responded off the bat, so that's great. I'm curious, how were you promoting the program? Was it, I know, through your emails and I guess just like meetings and word of mouth?
So it was sent out it was posted on social media, on the commission social media pages, on Connecticut Humanities social media, promoted via e-news for both of our lists. So the commission's list is about 550 people. Connecticut Humanities is about 6,000, give or take. And then we have been doing some convenings. We've done them with Hartford organizations, Bridgeport organizations, and at the end of the month, we have New Haven organizations. And it has been shared out with them as well. So when we've been getting them together, we've been making the information available.
Not through the community engagement subcommittee? Or like, how are you finding these groups? I'm just curious.
Yeah, it's primarily honestly through some of the relationships we have at CTH.
Mhm.
For example, for the Hartford group, we worked with First Night Hartford / breakfast, lunch and dinner, who does the Bonanza, who brought in some of their partners. We've brought in some of our partners and then kind of worked with. This one was back in August, which seems forever ago. But just brought in different people to
Mhm.
kind of look at the list and say who's missing. And I actually think that might have been Deborah and Liz Shapiro and some other folks from the commission. And then a very similar experience with Bridgeport. We worked with Maisa at the Freeman Center, Jennifer Reynolds Key at the Housatonic Museum of Art, which is through the Housatonic Community College, or whatever they are now. And they helped identify a lot of community partners that they have that they felt could be brought in. And then we brought in some grantees of Connecticut Humanities and kind of rounded out about 30 people who got together to brainstorm how they can work together to do the 250th in Bridgeport and what that will look like in a way that resonates for their community.
That's great. Yeah, I noticed a lot of Bridgeport orgs on here.
Good.
Yep, it
Um,
was like 2 weeks ago, so it was perfect timing.
yeah. Okay, so do we want to start off by going through any discussions we need to have on some that are marked as to be discussed? I think there are like a couple of key points, right? So like the one is whether we want to include town committees as opposed to specific nonprofits or specific groups, but individuals who have come together and formed town committees. So I know that's that was a big push by Denise to get, people to do that. So I think it's important to include them personally. That's my opinion. Does anybody have other thoughts on that?
My one question is, do we know that these town committees have been officially or formally created by the towns as opposed to a group of people within the town have formed one and named themselves on behalf of the town? That would be my only hesitation in automatically approving them. But I think if they've been created by the town, I don't have a problem with approving them.
Yeah, and I think we can provide at least some guidance, and we can do a little research. I know for sure Weathersfield is a yes. Norwich is a yes. And Litchfield is a yes. The other two, Essex and Bethlehem, are two that I'm less sure of, but that doesn't necessarily mean that they aren't.
Bethlehem, we had a contact for, which leads me to believe that yes, the town did set them up because we didn't do any outreach to get contacts from organizations. Essex, I did not know about.
Yeah.
So that one's,
Essex, it says it's the Historical Society. Essex Historical Society. Is it not them, or were they just like spearheading a larger group?
I think they had a comment somewhere that I read, that they're taking the lead on the 250th.
So I think the only question is whether they put it on themselves to take the lead, or do they have buy-in from leadership? And we could get an answer to that pretty quickly, I believe.
I would say so.
Okay, so Essex is a question. And Bethlehem is a question, right? Or you said Bethlehem was.
I think Rachel, who's been working more closely with all of this, seems to think that that this Bethlehem organization is the town committee. So
Okay,
Yeah, and actually, okay, so I just pulled it up. The two folks that we have contacts for are on their board of selectmen.
okay, perfect.
Can I ask just quickly, did you guys consolidate this database just to focus on the to discuss? Because everything just kind of collapsed on me. Okay. I have an outstanding issue too, since we're talking about Essex. And this may be something we address off to the side with them, is their engagement of the Nolambika project, which has been a past effort of theirs to engage indigenous communities, but this is not an indigenous organization and doesn't represent the tribal communities in Connecticut. So I have a real concern with that.
Interesting. Is that a concern? Trying to figure out how to phrase this. A concern that would withhold them from being recognized as an affiliate? Okay,
I don't think so, but
A
it's something
separate
I'd like to
conversation.
address with them
okay.
because it's a conversation I've had with them before that they seem to be ignoring. And I think it's going to alienate the tribes.
So I think to summarize, it sounds like we all feel okay including town commissions as long as they're officially recognized town commissions within the town government itself.
Yep.
So I think we can go ahead and, well, we can include them in the slate of yes votes and just with a note that we will completely confirm Essex and Bethlehem before sending them their materials. And that will just be a quick phone call.
okay, great. So then another question was, it looked like I guess we can just start at the top here. End witch hunts. So being that this organization is based not in Connecticut, but in Colorado, would this be an organization that we would want to include based on that?
And I'll say that we had some questions about them, but they are doing work here in Connecticut within the historical community and within the legislature. So in terms of legitimacy, I think that's there. It's really just a question of if it's not a Connecticut organization, do we feel the need to? And I don't know what other non-Connecticut organizations may or may not apply.
Yeah,
Right.
We occasionally get some in our granting ecosystem that are chartered outside of Connecticut. So I'm struggling with the broader relevance of the subject matter.
I know that was getting me.
I, I mean, if we're telling inclusive histories and that's one of our funding or our sort of committee or commission priorities, I guess, but I'm struggling with this one. Not perhaps enough to knock it out, but
This is one category I was thinking we may want to leave as a case by case basis. We may not get that many of them, and we can look at them individually as they come up in these discussions. Yeah, the particular subject matter relevance wasn't clear, although I know that they are continuing to work actively on this topic with the legislature, and so I could see you saying the doing history aspect and some of those things. But yeah, I would say I'm kind of on the fence about it as well.
and even if they framed it around women in power, like something.
Could we potentially ask them for more information and say the committee would like to hear a little bit more about how this specifically relates before
Yeah.
we make a decision? I don't see why not.
I
Yeah,
like that approach.
I think so.
Great.
Or at least, yeah, ask them to connect some dots to the themes of the commission.
Yep.
Okay, great. Next up is the idea of a for-profit company being an affiliate with Capture Visual Marketing.
Deborah, you're muted.
Thank you. This one I was concerned that there could be construed that the commission is actually endorsing a company and therefore others should use them to make their marketing materials. Again, this might be something we want to decide on a case by case basis, but this one I did have some concerns that it would be seen as endorsing a particular company to do work for others on this topic.
I went to their website and there was nothing really obvious to me about the work that they describe here, unless I missed it. It's like a real estate marketing company.
I'll try to find the link and send it. We found it the other day.
Yeah, what I will say, they do work very closely with museums across the state. So they have access to the Matterport software, which is what realtors use to take photo, like 3D imaging of a home that's going for sale. And they have started using it with museums to do 3D renderings of their exhibit spaces so that it's a really high quality exhibit experience. And one of the better ways to do a 3D exhibit. And now they're taking that same software and doing cemeteries around the state. So I think it's really interesting, but I agree with Deborah in that, which is why for me, at least the question about this one was their for-profit nature, not necessarily the work they do. I agree that I feel like it puts us in a weird spot to affiliate with companies that are offering services. Not that yeah, Michael.
Yeah.
I'm gonna just reflect from a conversation much earlier, and I think it was Jonathan who raised it about accessibility and idea and understanding that so many of these sites are from 18th century, earlier, after not necessarily ADA compliant. And, you know, you just spark something when you say, well, they're going and doing tours at cemeteries. I just did one of those in Norwich with Senator Austin and some of the folks here. And certainly opening up venues like that. I don't know if they have a voluntary way to do some of these, or if there's some way to distinguish it with an asterisk or something like that, or to note it, this is a commercial entity, or some other way. But given the subject matter and the ability to kind of bridge a gap, I wouldn't want to exclude them if they're actually able to open up accessibility to sites that would otherwise be impossible for folks to reach to physically. I think that's worth stating.
I think that's a terrific point, Michael. And maybe Cindy, that's a follow-up conversation we can have with them. You know, thinking about what could this mean in terms of relationship building around access, since that is a commission priority.
Yeah, I would agree. I think it's a really good point. I was thinking I kind of equate what they're the question with, say, if an archivist or an exhibit professional had applied and they were somebody who would have been hired by one of these historical societies to create their exhibit, what would we have made that decision? And I feel like those are parallel questions to the one we're being asked right here. And I feel like in that case, I would probably also have not voted for an affiliation. That doesn't mean they shouldn't be involved. But I think that that's a different affiliation is different than other involvement.
Do we want to think about a different kind of relationship? I mean, what if they came to us and said, we'd like to be a sponsor of the commission, and here's the work that we do, and then we sort of have sort of a business section, business and services, or whatever that is associated, that it has a different structural relationship. Maybe that's not entirely clear, but
It's not
Like
entirely.
research like access. Sorry.
No, go ahead.
I was gonna say that it's kind of like offering a resource page to the groups and nonprofits.
Yeah, which I think brings with it also other concerns, but I would feel better about putting them there. I think it just then opens up a whole can of worms of how many different people are going to start throwing products and services at us, hoping that will promote them. And I don't know.
Cindy, is there anything in our language that would preclude this group from? Do we need to be clearer in how we're promoting the affiliation?
I think we do. I think the conversations that we're having around all of this are going to inform some edits on that affiliate page moving forward. Because I do think we'll add something along the lines of, on a case-by-case basis, we may come back and ask you to draw more connections to the themes and mission of the commission, or something along those lines, based on our answer for end witch hunts. And if we decide to say yay or nay to capture visual marketing, we'll add that, whether we are okay or not okay with for-profit groups.
I mean, I hate to like discount someone just because they're for profit. Like we, like in our office, we have our CEO program as an example, where we're trying to encourage businesses to be civically engaged and to promote civic education and engagement in their communities. And so, I mean, if there's a company out there willing to do something around the 250th, I'm like all for encouraging that. On the other hand, I think specifically with this group, they're offering a service, like you'd said before, you know, that others would be purchasing. So maybe it's a little bit different in that sense. But I wouldn't want to just blanket say like we can include a for-profit. So I think there are even like a lot of festival companies out there who are mainly for profit, but
Yeah, I'll agree with Ariane on that one. You know, this is still some time away from now, getting some private sector involvement, participation, as long as the mission isn't totally flying in the face. I think it's perfectly reasonable to ask for connections into the 250 celebration and why we can make a disclaimer of sorts that it's not to be considered an endorsement or these are private groups or something like that, but it may spur participation in some of the other events too, and they have their own networks and marketing, and there's a certain organicness that can come through that as they go forward with it, and potentially that could be leveraged out to greater participation. And you know, this country was built on the back of small businesses. I certainly wouldn't want to exclude them.
My last question, and then, oh, so if we have a gathering of all the affiliates in the spring, do we feel like it's fair to allow them to have basically 100 customers that we gather together for them that they can pitch to in front of everybody?
I think if we were having a gathering and said we have exhibit tables and you can apply to be part of that, even if we don't charge them for the space.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah, I'm just thinking a lot of our meetings have allowed kind of a round table sharing. And I feel like we'll have a lot of nonprofits sharing exhibits and work that they're doing, and then a few for-profits that are like, well, we can provide this service for all of you. And in some ways, yes, it's helpful. But at the same time,
it may make some people uncomfortable. Like they have been brought and are captive audience to hear this sales pitch.
yeah,
Is there something for the conference, the spring conference, Cindy? Vendor tables that, might include this kind of thing.
yeah.
So I'll give a corollary. In some of the work I do in engaging in the community, I'll go to senior centers. I recently went to the Shelton Senior Center. That's an event, a healthcare event that they have sponsored by Senator Kelly. And I walked around, there's tables, there was Department of Banking, the AA's, the Attorney General's office was there. There was other DSS was there, but there were also private home care agencies, Medicare Advantage insurance vendors. There were others there that was within the municipal town building. It was sponsored by the legislature. It was sponsored by the municipality, and folks can have discernment. There's no forcing anyone to have to buy products and goods. I certainly think it's fine to vet different organizations to make sure, again, the mission doesn't fly in the face of things. But again, greater participation is, the more the merrier, I would view it. And again, there's the possibility for cross marketing and just more people. So.
Oh yeah, if I might add, I think it might be unfair to further distinguish the for-profit versus a nonprofit, because nonprofits do their pitches too, right? Everyone, I mean, let's just be honest. And so I think if there's more of a conversation around what are people contributing to the work and talk about contributions. That might be more productive. I don't think pitching would be as productive, or here's what we can offer. But I think how are people contributing is probably a more productive conversation. But I think we should give everyone a fair chance and see what they bring to the table. But nonprofits are always pitching as well, right? They're looking for someone to fund, and we appreciate that, right? Everyone wants to fund good work, and so there are a lot of entrepreneurs and folks, even in big business, who are contributing and who are making a difference in communities and in this conversation. So I think they should have a chance to be at the table and see what they bring.
Yeah.
I'm wondering, just in terms of promoting this moment, once we sort of go through the commission next week, maybe it's an opportunity to do a press release to talk about the affiliate program, really get it out there, encourage others to engage and support and find those connections. And here are examples of for-profit and nonprofit, if we go that way, which makes sense.
Yeah. Okay, so am I hearing that we're good with bringing on for-profit groups as long as they, like the nonprofits, align with our values and they can make a case for why they should be included? Yeah.
Sure.
Okay.
And so it sounds like we should have a vote. And I would group everyone together except for Bethlehem and Essex and witch hunts. So everybody else can be included in one vote to approve those, because it sounds like we're in agreement, unless anybody would like to pull anybody else out.
Is this conditional until you get information and feedback from the other three?
That's why I'm pulling out the other three. And then I think Essex and Bethlehem are accept as long as they are their town's commission. And then End Witch Hunts is postponed to the next meeting and ask for more information.
I had to abstain on 3 of the applications, so we probably need to pull those out as well.
And Rachel, I assume you're getting all of this in notes. Yeah, great. So which 3, Deborah, or do you have those, Rachel?
Conservation Connection, Connecticut State Historic Records Advisory Board, and then the Museum of Connecticut History.
I don't think I can technically move to a vote. So I think somebody else will have to take that.
Okay, so move to a vote. Everyone in favor of adding these that we've discussed to the affiliate program? Anyone opposed? Abstain? Oh, I guess Michael, you're not. Okay, so then we've added all these, and 3 are still pending. So will they be added to who we speak about the next time we meet? assuming we have the info, or do we just do that? Or can we just do something over email for
So I
that?
think we need to vote on the other three so that Deborah can vote. Wait, because Deborah,
Yes.
right, exactly. So that's the Museum of Connecticut History, Conservation Connection, and State Historic Records Advisory Board. So,
Oh, those three that, okay. Okay, so all in favor of adding those three?
Deborah abstains for the record.
And anyone again? Oh, Mel, that you're a yes? Okay, perfect. So we'll add those three in. Okay, so now it's just those remaining three that we need more information, and we will need to come back to them in the next meeting, or is that something that I guess we would need to discuss again?
I would say if you guys are okay with it, if you're okay with us approving Essex and Bethlehem pending their being confirmed by their towns.
Yeah. Okay.
Because that, I promise we won't lie to you all. And we'll just call up their town selectmen and confirm. And then, and witch hunts, I think we will postpone them to
Okay.
the next meeting. So we can bring their answers to you all.
Okay, great. So are there does anything come to mind based on this process that we've just gone through that we might want to adjust moving forward? Anything in terms of whether it's the spreadsheet, this review process?
I think just clarifying language around connecting to the commission's themes. And maybe that's already in there and the organizations didn't draw those direct connections and we just need the clarification more than anything. That's really where the questions came up, I think.
Okay. All right, great. Any other business that anyone would like to discuss? No?
I think we're good.
Right, so I guess we're good. Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.
Thanks,
Thank you all.
team, for making it simple for us.
Thank you.
That was 49 applications that we got through pretty quickly.
I know, that's great. Great job.
Just so
Alright.
everybody knows, we will be creating a page on the website where we'll add all of their logos, link out to their websites, and kind of provide them with logos that they can use on their events and stuff that say like America 250 affiliate. So it'll be exciting. It'll get us more visibility and start kind of building a community around this.
Nice, that's great.
Very good.
All right. Well, thank you.
Y'all.
Bye, everybody.
See you